Hi, my name is Neal, and I'm going to be doing two product reviews in one. The product reviews are going to include the almost Rodney Mullen Uberlight deck, as well as these Tensor Response trucks. For the record, the wheels have nothing to do with the review. These are 50mm Excel dual durometers. I put these on here because I had to have something to roll on. I don't usually do board reviews or anything like that. The reason that I am doing this particular review is because of how limited the access that the average skater is going to have to this board. For one, they only made 500 of these, and for two, it's very expensive. The average retail cost for one of these decks alone is about $120, and you're not going to get it any cheaper than $100. So, because of the rarity of the board, figured might as well go ahead and just do a full review on it that I'll be working on for the next few days. The board itself is known as Rodney Mullen's kind of baby. It has inside it an inner deck that's made of carbon fiber, and inside the carbon fiber deck, inside the wood, there's a low density foam core to make the board light. One thing that I found is that the board is indeed light when you grab it by itself. The trucks also are marketed as a very light truck, and that claim is valid. They are very light. You're going to notice one thing about this particular version of the Tensor trucks is that they don't have the plastic slider. From conversations that I've had with Steve Douglas from Dwindle Distribution, the idea is that a lot of skaters really just don't want plastic parts in their boards, so they designed this truck, which is something I'm going to have to get used to for the skater that doesn't want plastic parts. But anyway, one thing I should mention is about the trucks, and I almost went into it just a second ago, is that it's always a pain in the ass breaking in new trucks. No matter what, if you buy a second pair of your favorite kind of truck, it's always going to be a pain breaking them in, because bushings, when you first get them, they are of they turn their own way. They may be very firm, they may be too firm, they have to be broken in, whatnot. Either way, so breaking in the trucks is going to be one mission that I'm going to have to accomplish. But the other thing is that the geometry of tensors are very unique. They turn in their own way, and I'm used to riding crux trucks and other types of trucks like that have a more traditional style kingpin, that have a certain turning radius. I typically do a lot of transition skating, although I do some street skating. So I'm going to take this board right off the bat. I'm going to take it out to I'm going to take the board out to an environment that it was really designed for. I'm going to take it to some places where you can skate technically with it. The board itself was designed by Rodney Mullen for the way Rodney skates, and he is very sensitive to weight and balance and different things. Give you some quick specs on this really quick. The board is really small. It's short. The wheelbase is pretty normal. It's about a 14-inch wheelbase. It's not a particularly wide board. I guess it may be about maybe 7.6, 7.75. I'm not completely positive on that. But one thing that you'll notice when you hold it or you stand on it is that the tail and the nose are almost exactly the same size. The nose is maybe 1/4 of an inch bigger than the tail. As far as the concave goes, it's safe to say that this would be considered a very mellow concave, mellow to shallow, I'd say. Something else I'm going to have to get used to, because when I normally go out and buy boards, I like to have a really deep concave. Finally, one last thing I'll say about the board is that there may be a misconception with some people that the board is marketed as being indestructible, and it's not. Steve Douglas notified me, made sure to point out that the board is not indestructible. You can break it. So I was going to do a focus test on it, but I'm not going to do that now. The board is stronger. The claims say it is stronger, that the composite material inside the wood actually is about as strong as metal is. They wrapped it in wood rather than making an entire board out of the carbon fiber, because they say that it would feel like metal, it would vibrate too much. So they wrapped it up in wood, and that absorbs a lot of the vibrations that you feel. The inner layer is the inner composite layer is supposed to act like a rebar, so it will enhance the strength. And another thing is they don't use a traditional glue on this board. They claim to use some special specific epoxy that is supposed to harden up and be a lot stronger than regular glue. And actually, one last thing I'll tell you, and I think it's kind of funny. The board itself, when you get the deck, if you're one of the few that's lucky enough to get it, it's going to come in this metallic sleeve of a bag, which immediately reminded me of a little baggie like this that you get computer hardware in. And I think that's kind of a nod to the geekery that's involved with the design of the board. And as a computer geek myself, it was kind of the first thing that I realized when I was looking at this bag. And I was like, well, I'd buy hard drives or video cards and whatnot, and they'd be wrapped up in something like this. So I don't know if that's intentional or if that's just me reading way too much into it. And after this, I'm going to take it out and skate it on some terrains that it was definitely designed for. And then I'm going to bring it out to some terrains, and this is more in reference to the trucks now. I'm going to bring the trucks out into some terrains that they probably weren't designed for, as they were designed for the technical street skater. At least some of the older advertisements made that claim. I'm going to start off in that environment, but I'm also going to bring it to some transition, some concrete, and going to basically see how it holds up. See you in a bit. Now, right off the bat, I'm having some trouble getting used to the board. Partially, the trucks are giving me an issue. I can't really blame the trucks just yet. I don't know if it's because of the way that they turn naturally, or if it's because the bushings just haven't been broken in yet. But even after I've loosened the trucks, they still feel like they're tight, even though they do have a turn. The truck really wants to stay vertical. All trucks do that, but these, it's very accentuated, that need for the truck to be vertical and stay right up tight, right vertically along with the kingpin. It doesn't feel at the moment that I can carve out of a trick very comfortably. And the setup itself is really light, so I'm having some trouble right off the bat getting used to that. Okay, after about 45 minutes, maybe roughly an hour of skating, the trucks had decided to loosen up past the point that I had loosened them when I got here. They don't feel like regular loose trucks though. They do turn, but there's a clack whenever, I don't know if the cameras can pick this up, but when you turn the hanger all the way down, you can see that the bushing actually loses contact with the hanger, which may be normal, but I can hear it and feel the clack. Whenever I turn, I can just feel a click, 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 click every time. So I need to tighten these up some, because even though they are loose, there's still not a tendency to carve whenever I turn. There's a moment there where it'll turn, or I can put my weight down as if I wanted to carve, and it'll still go kind of straight. Then when I put more weight on it, it'll eventually result in the turn, but it doesn't feel like a carve. Like, I don't feel like I'm really digging into the turn. Because, like I said earlier, the truck has this resistance thing going on where it really wants to just shoot back straight up, and it doesn't feel smooth. like any other truck. Well, I say not any other truck, but like not like the trucks that I'm used to, not like a lot of the trucks that I've ridden in the past. It's a very unique feeling, but the loosening, it just happened. It was kind of spontaneous, where it just loosened up. But even when it's loose, the looseness feels unnatural to it. So I'm going to tighten these up. Now, as far as the board, something I've noticed about the board, besides it being shorter than what I'm used to, which isn't really a knock against the board, the board feels thin, and that's not to say it feels flimsy, but the board definitely feels a lot thinner than what I'm used to, and I guess that's a result of the epoxy maybe having less density, maybe it's the epoxy itself is just not as thick as a normal glue for the laminates. But it feels thin, it feels rigid, but it doesn't feel rigid in the sense that metal would feel rigid. And I don't know if anybody's ever goofed off on one of those aircraft boards where you can feel every pebble in the ground. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like a really good stiff wooden board, and it of course looks like it, but it does feel like a wooden deck. I don't feel anything funny inside it that would lead me to believe that it's got some composite architecture located somewhere inside the wood. I can't really complain about the board. The only thing I can really do is just say that I'm not used to the size and the weight yet. Now, if I'm going to complain about anything, right now I'm really bummed about the trucks just spontaneously loosening up like they did. It's just really awkward. And again, the way they feel when they're loose doesn't feel right. Gonna keep going with it. I'm gonna talk to you in a bit.
Humiliation.
Hey, me again. I just turned the camera back on. It seems that I was mistaken about the trucks loosening up. They didn't actually loosen up. What happened was in one of the tricks or attempted tricks that I was trying to do earlier, I actually shattered the base plate. And I mean shattered. I didn't just crack it. If you can see that, this thing is just gone. It's gone to hell. And I broke it in the, let's see, right here by the bolt. And as you can see, there's just a really huge gash actually going up and across and through the back of the base plate. It's split in half. The base plate is literally split in half, and so that's why I'm getting that unnatural turn. So I guess what I thought my problem was earlier is the base plate, and maybe not so much the kingpin getting looser. So anyway, it was one of the tricks that's on tape. I don't know which one. Honestly, I haven't landed that many. I don't know if this is a typical situation for Tensor, but yeah, at least with this set, maybe it's a bad mix of alloy for the base plate. Maybe it's bad design, but these things broke in a record time for me. In fact, I can honestly say that I've never broken a base plate in my first full day of skating a board, and skating it on flat too, which is really something that kind of concerns me. So that's the situation with these trucks. Now I'm going to have to grab some other trucks somewhere and set them up. I don't know what trucks I'm going to use yet, but I'm probably going to go with some of my older ones, or at least just something I'm a little bit more familiar with. And from now on, the review is only on the board, and we're no longer going to talk about the Tensors. And again, this is about an hour. At this point, I'm talking to you. I've been filming from the very beginning of the intro till right now. There's only been about an hour's worth of skating so far, and it's been on flat. And yeah, this base plate is gone. Well, I'll see you in just a bit. I'll see you with a new set of trucks. Okay. Hey, I'm over here at Small Time Skates, our local shop that is owned by my best friend, and We had a kid come in earlier today who dropped off an old used set of Destructos, which is not a truck I've ridden before, but it's been a long time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Rodney Mullen actually had something to do with this Destructo as well. I don't know if he founded it or maybe designed some of the initial trucks, so that's kind of cool. It'd be kind of consistent, be riding some more Rodney stuff, but setting this set of trucks up, and that's Carrie doing it right there. And as soon as he's done, I'll be able to take this setup back out and give it a shot. Okay. Carrie is trying to figure out exactly where the breaking point for the old base plate was, and once he determines, using his scientific forensic broken base plate knowledge, yeah, he's gonna hit it with a hammer, the good one, and see if Hammer Tom will actually break a brace plate. And so right now we're trying to find the weakest link.
Alright, test one. Not too hard of a hit. No, nothing there.
Pretty good?
Pretty good.
Its integrity is maintained.
Pretty solid from that side.
Nice.
I'm gonna do one more. Need to hit it from the side.
Ooh.
Which could be a little tricky. Maybe alright. Try that again. So far, so good. I think this one might be okay.
Well, I think it's safe to say either one of two things. Either the alloy that this particular base plate was made of might have been like a whack batch or something. Alternatively, maybe the only way to break a base plate for a set of tensors is actually by skateboarding on them.
Nah, I don't know if that's gonna work or not. Nope, you were right. The only way to break it is skateboarding.
Well, after a few weeks of skateboarding on this Uberlight, most of which has been off camera, it's still maintained most of its pop. Gave it a slight crack towards the nose of the board that you can barely see cosmetically. I don't even think it'll show up on camera, but I don't feel any sogginess at the nose. So its claim is being, the claim that it makes as being a board that does have a lot of pop is valid. I think it's responsive, and maybe sometimes it's too responsive. If you're used to a larger board, you're probably going to find that the board tends to flip away from you a lot, and it tends to want to go where it wants to go sometimes. That can go with any skateboard, but I think that that's kind of pronounced in this board just because it is light, it is small. A suggestion seems to turn into a much larger movement when you're manipulating the board with your feet. As far as the quality of the board, I can say it's a good quality board. Is it worth $100? Honestly, I'm very apprehensive about picking up any skateboard deck alone for $100. Regardless of the investment of time and study and research and technology in the board, I don't notice so much of a difference between the Uberlight and regular wood that I would, feel obligated or feel a need to spend $100 for a board with this particular technology. But like I say, it's a good board. I can't say that it's not a good board, but for $100, I'm not feeling $100. If you're super tech and you're maybe very sensitive to the balance of a skateboard, maybe to a degree that's way more exaggerated than my own sense of balance when it refers to the balance and weight distribution of the deck itself. If you're really that sensitive, maybe this is an investment for you. For someone like me, $100 is an awful lot of money to be asked to spend on just a deck. That's it for the review, and hope it educated and helped anyone out that's out in the market looking for a board like this. Thanks.